Hello, this is Kavitha, your host, and we have our resident expert, Kunashni Parikh. She is a sports psychologist and athlete herself. Kunashni, do you want to tell us a little bit about your football journey?
Sure, yes. Thanks so much, Kavita, for having me here on this platform. I'm super excited to be a part of this live session. A little bit about myself. My football journey started a long time back when I was in the fifth standard. I started playing for my school team, and slowly from there, I built up on my game, and I eventually got a chance to be the goalkeeper for the Indian team and play at the under 16 level. So this that was a great opportunity for me, and I actually fell in love with the sport. And
Mm-hmm.
later on in my studies, I was introduced to psychology, and I got a chance to understand about the human mind and um, how we behave and how we think. And I absolutely love the idea of bridging these two together, and that's what brought me to the career of sports psychology.
That's fantastic. We have viewers watching us right now. Um, we really thought with the situation that the pandemic has put all the athletes in, whether it is runners, cyclists, swimmers, football players, cricketers, pretty much in every sport. We thought it was important to understand what part psychology plays in this situation and in general as well. What are the important mental skills in sports is something, we wanted to ask you first.
Yes. So mental skills are extremely important in sports. So whenever we think about a sport, we always look at it from a very physical aspect of the game. We
Mhm.
focus on our physical skills like our speed, our strength. We want to be stronger and faster. Also on our technical skills, we want our shot to be good, our strokes to be good. But what happens is, you can prepare really well technically and physically, but when you get out there onto the field, onto the game, you might waver in your confidence. You might be undermotivated. You might feel, nervous in front of your opponents. There are a lot of things that go on psychologically. So having a very strong mental skill set and self
Mhm.
confidence is very important, and that's why a few things in sports psychology, which are good confidence, ability to focus well and block out distraction, knowing how to handle performance anxiety, these are very important mental skills in sports.
Fantastic. And how do you think, athletes have been affected by the pandemic? They have to train, in isolation instead of training with their friends. They mainly are having to take virtual classes and all that. And but at the same time, there is nobody cheering them on, even dragging them out of bed in the morning to train and doing all those things with their friends in general, no matter what sports you play, right? What sport you play. So
Right,
how do you
right.
think pandemic has affected athletes, and what can
Yeah,
they
this
do
is
to
a
kind of overcome that?
Yeah, definitely. The pandemic has affected a lot of athletes around the world. I think, first and foremostly, the um, the delay of a lot of tournaments and competitions that had been scheduled, which now will be held at a later time, has kind of thrown a lot of people off their game. They've
Mhm.
prepared so hard, put in so many hours of training, and they might feel a little disappointed as to, all those, hours of effort going to waste or something like that. There
Mhm.
also might be a lot of anxiety and a lot of uncertainty because we don't know when things are going to get back to normal again, when we can start our training again. Um, a lot for um, a lot of athletes are under financial pressure as well. So, you know, making sure that they can get back to their training without wasting time. Another
Mhm.
thing is they might see other athletes having access to different kinds of virtual tools, like better fitness regimes or better, things that they can access when some people don't have that digital access. So this might be
Right,
another problem for a lot of athletes.
right. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good point that you raise. Some have access to virtual training and they still are seeing their friends and able to motivate themselves. And some are completely cut off from a lot of these things, And at a time when that is happening, how to kind of keep them motivated, do they set some goals for themselves? and to go with that, and then and reach out to their friends on social media, and do a little bit at a time to kind of help themselves. Is that is a great
Yes,
point. Especially the loneliness of training. That I think really affects a lot of the athletes right now, mainly to keep themselves motivated. Self motivation is key at the time,
definitely,
and how that
definitely,
is going to. Yeah, yeah. How
definitely.
do you think, how important is team support for athletes at this time? As let's
Ve-
say you're encouraging your fellow footballer or fellow cricketer to keep it up, or a fellow runner or a cyclist, in virtual space, how do you think it really changes how, the team support helps, psychologically speaking?
Yes, yes. So when we're on the field, when we see each other, it's much easier to support each other and be there for each other. You can read off people's body language and understand, when they're feeling down or their game is not going so well. So at that time, it becomes easier. And team support is extremely important to keeping yourself motivated and focused in the game. And if your teammates are not supporting you or just your co-athletes, you might, feel very demotivated and discouraged. Now, moving on to a virtual space, how to support your teammates, it becomes very important to constantly try and check in with everybody.
Hmm.
So having, like having weekly group video calls and just discussing what we got through done to the week. Oh, I worked on this today. I saw this new video, check this out, look at this athlete, we can try this next time when we get back. So just keeping in touch with everyone and making sure
Yeah.
everyone's doing well. I think that's super important during this time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Why it's important to be working on mental skills and not just the physical skills that we are focused on right now. Everybody's like, oh, I'm doing 100 push-ups, or I'm doing so I'm skipping every day, I'm running so much every day, and I'm doing all these things every day. But
Right.
nobody's talking about, oh, I've done this session with a psychologist, or to understand this is happening, what
Yeah.
this should be done.
Yes, but still we
What do you
still
think
have
is
that.
happening there?
Yeah, we still have
Mm-hmm.
this, stigma towards mental health and training our mental skill set. So you're absolutely right. Like I see a lot of these 30-day challenges and 7-day challenges of push-ups and planks and posting it on social media. I did so good. Yes, we are keeping our fitness up during this time, which is super important.
Mm-hmm.
But how are we taking care of our mental health? How are we doing? We are locked down, and it might get very frustrating and just be inside the home and see the same four walls throughout the day.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
maybe something like, I made this creative artwork today, or I reflected on, my whole career in sports today, and that made me feel really good. Or,
Mhm.
I felt grateful about this, and that. So, just talking a lot about how you're taking care of yourself mentally, I think that also should be really spread quite far. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. What should, in terms of their training to stay motivated, what are the few basic things that they can incorporate? Sometimes, let's say we used to have targets, large targets, right? During race times, during game times, when they're playing series and doing all those things. Athletes train
Hmm.
intensely. But right now, it is not about that anymore. They're not training to race. They're not training to compete, in a certain series of games that are laid out for them. So, what do you
Hmm.
think that they should do? What kind of base training that they should maintain? Do you have a certain, a psychological game that they may end up playing, to keep themselves motivated, to stay fit, be healthy to the pandemic, which reflects on their psychological, health as well, eventually.
Yes, I think at this point it's very important to set goals, set small goals for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and also
Mm-hmm.
have a very good set routine. So,
Mm-hmm.
because there is no external training or somebody else to be accountable to, we
Mm-hmm.
might, wake up at a different time or, just end up not finishing certain things during the day which we'd like to. So, having a
Mm-hmm.
very, managing your time really well and setting that structure to your entire day, like I'm going to wake up at this time, I'm going to finish this, it really gives you that entire structure to work towards and go forth. And another very important thing to do is to dress for the event. So just because you're at home, don't
Mm-hmm.
stay in your casual attire. Wear what you would wear during training, and wear your
Right.
shoes, kit up and feel like you're going there for training and then do your workout. So that gets you psychologically back into that space. And then
Right.
have small targets. So we, like you said, we may not have a competition right now to a set date to look forward to, but have your
Mhm.
own goals. First, be aware of. It's a great time to reflect. So be aware of where you're falling short in your game. Look at a lot of videos online. We have a lot of time to do that right now, and see what you can do better. And then set those small goals. Okay, today I'm going to finish this much. Tomorrow I'll do a little more, and have very specific and measurable goals, and which
Mhm.
are realistic as well according to your ability. So this will
Mhm.
really help when we're stuck in one place during this time.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a point that you mentioned. It's important to dress up for the part, and that plays a big
Yeah,
role because we used to get so much thrill in about picking the right kind of shoes, the right kind of apparel to step out. Sometimes even just to show off. And there's a huge talk about how people are showing up to Zoom meetings. They have a great a shirt and everything. What do they wear otherwise, right? I think it's a great point to think about to psychologically win these battles in a small, one little piece at a time. Right now, in these
yes,
situations where we still don't know whether it's important, whether we can step out in a month or 2 months or 3 months when we're going to be racing in groups, or if it's going to happen at all until next year. We're
hmm
not sure of that. And these small battles that we can win with our own, with our own self, are going to really lay the ground to how we come out of this on the other end when all this changes. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. It's definitely a test of your character as an athlete, how you deal with this time. Like you can sit around do nothing, or you can do something because we're gonna get back. So until then,
Mhm.
how can what can we do with our time? So it's
Mhm.
really time to be creative as well.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the viewers wants to know, Kunashni, if you have played any sport. Can you enlighten us again?
For sure. So, I've been able to try as many sports that I got the chance to.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I'm a footballer. I've played football at the national, international level as a
Mm-hmm.
goalkeeper,
Mm-hmm.
and naturally, I love diving for the ball and jumping around and saving it. At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I've tried a lot of different sports at the district level and state level.
Mm-hmm.
Gymnastics being one of my favorite,
Yeah.
karate, basketball, little athletics as well. So I've tried
Mm-hmm.
any sport that you can think of, I've tried it at some point. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really been happy to have done that.
That's great. That's great to hear. Fantastic. One more thing is, it's we talked about how important it is for the community and for the team to support their players and the fellow, athletes and doing all that. I think it's a great way to share, their running clips and running images or anything, any sport that they're training. To all of viewers, we want to say that please share your videos and your in terms of images that we can share with the global community. The new platform that we have allows us to do that. We would love to share. Please share them with us. We're happy to share and be part of your winning this battle part of things and living by sport, right? One of the viewers wants to know, Kunishni, how does one self motivate oneself after hitting a slump? So a lot of people are
Uh,
facing that they are have given up. They probably have not done anything for the first 2 months, 3 months of the pandemic, and we have been under lockdown. So one of them wants to know, how do we
mhm.
motivate ourselves after hitting that slump psychologically?
Okay. So, all right, if you say that you haven't been doing anything for 1 2 months and feeling like you wasted your time, for
Mm-hmm.
starters, forgive yourself and let that go. 1 2 months, nothing happened, that's fine. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
continuously keep thinking about that, you're not going to be able to start your journey and move forward. So, one is be in the present, live in the present. Let's start working now. And
Mm-hmm.
from now, assess your situation.
Mm-hmm.
What have you fallen back on? What do you
Mm-hmm.
need to move forward to? And second,
Mm-hmm.
start with small goals. If you've lost a lot of strength, start building it, 10%, 10 20%. Don't try to be back to 100% where you were, say, a few months ago. So start small and keep rewarding yourself for every small thing. You have to be your biggest support, your biggest encourager. and
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of, small, short, and simple positive affirmations. I'm doing good, I'm doing well. Okay, I could not do this, but look, this is what I have done. So, kind of shifting your focus to everything that's going right instead of being
Mm-hmm.
bogged down by everything that you weren't able to do. So, this is
Mm-hmm.
one tip I would share.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Thank you for asking that question, Rashmi. We also, I think, based on what we've been talking about, the small, it's important to have small goals, especially when you're coming off of a period of inactivity or, you used to be extremely active at some point, and suddenly this whole pandemic has driven us all underground, so to speak, practically, and to come out of it, to engage ourselves mainly before we engage others, to win this situation, win over ourselves first, to come out of that battles that we are fighting psychologically. That's a great point there, and a great question, and a great tip, Kunashni. I think, let's also talk about, in how important it is for the coaches. How can coaches help? There are so many coaches out there now trying to help, people whom they used to train earlier, and
Right.
also the coaches, who are now, reaching out to more and more athletes, and talking to them, encouraging them to be active and doing all that. How can coaches help the athletes, win these battles?
Right. So, one of the most important things for the coach is, firstly, to keep in touch with the athlete,
Hmm.
continuously check in with them. How are they doing? Um, how is their fitness going? How is um, you know, their training
Motivate.
going? Yes, their workout. So even the athletes feel okay. There is someone there, looking out for me, checking into whatever I'm doing. I'm not alone in this. And second,
Hmm.
also reassure them a lot, because
Hmm.
they might be much more anxious than you, because they, might be much younger, may not understand when how things will pan out, whether they'll be able to bounce back from this, uh, whether they'll be able to come back to that same self that they were before the lockdown. So give them a lot of reassurance and a lot of tips, and be there for them. That would be the most important thing.
Yeah, I think in this situation, the entire ecosystem of sports, that kind of fell apart when everybody went into a lockdown, and not just any particular geographic location. This is across the world that everybody went into a lockdown, pretty much at the similar time.
Right, right,
Then yeah, and then complete ecosystem fell apart. Whether it was
right.
coaches or nutritionists or physiotherapists and
Right.
psychologists, everybody that were supporting an athlete, suddenly we're not there for the athletes. And I
Right.
think it's
And
important for this ecosystem to come back into play and
yes,
support each other. So, lift up and say, not just to say that the coaches and nutritionists and psychologists are not going through situations of their own. I think it's good for them to meet athletes as well. And
yes,
athletes are
for sure.
there and are there, energy boosters as well at the same time, while they get
Definitely.
all the support from everybody in the ecosystem. Yeah, I think
Definitely.
it's very important right now for us all to remember to do that, to be this
Yeah.
psychological
I think
issues that we're facing.
all of us being a part of the sports community, we love being outdoors. Like, we are
Mhm.
outdoors people. So it becomes extra
Mhm.
difficult for us to, try to manage everything inside. So
Yeah.
yeah, being there for each other, whether it's a psychologist, a nutritionist, all of us coming together is definitely a great support to the entire community. And I think
Yeah.
in that sense, Globeracers has done a great effort and initiative in creating that platform where all of us can come together and support one another. And it's very important during this time, for sure, from a psychological perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's very important to address that. And one of the users wants to know, that these thoughts of, recurring thoughts of when this pandemic is going to end and when we may actually be able to go back to normal, and how to kind of deal with that or remove that anxiousness from their mind.
Right. So there are two ways you can go about this. Um, One technique, which is super helpful for everything in general in calming anxiety is meditation, some form of
Mhm.
relaxation and breathing exercises. If you
Mhm.
engage in this, and I see a lot of athletes who engage in this, are
Mhm.
more able to manage their anxiety and their confidence. So definitely try that, calming your breathing, following your breath, things like that. There are different types of meditations you can try. So that's
Mhm.
one. The second thing, when these recurring thoughts come up, and when will this end, what's going to happen? Um, there's this phenomena in psychology called the locus of control. So you can
Mhm.
either have an external locus of control, where you place responsibility for different outcomes in your life on external factors,
Mhm.
or you can have an internal locus of control where you place that responsibility within yourself. So, for
Mhm.
example, if something happens, I'll give the example of a football player. If
Mhm.
he is trying to score a goal and he misses the goal, he can
Mhm.
have an external locus of control and say, it didn't happen because, the crowd was too distracting, the referee was biased, or it was just too hot outside, all external reasons. Or he could have an
Mhm.
internal locus of control, place that control within himself and say,
Mhm.
I was not motivated enough. I got tired. I could have tried harder. So
Mhm.
having a more internal locus of control for everything in life will
Mhm.
definitely keep you motivated and give you that sense of autonomy over things. So when the
Mhm.
pandemic will end, we don't know. That's something that's out of our control. So identifying what's out of our control and what's within our control. But on the
Mhm.
other hand, what you do during the pandemic is definitely something in your control. So recognize the things that you can control in your life. You can set your schedule during the day. You can focus on what you're going to eat throughout the day. What kind of
Right.
social media you're going to engage with, what kind of training you're going to do. So identifying the things that are within your control during this time will definitely make you feel better. So trying these both things, meditation, at the same time identifying things in your environment that are within your control will definitely
Mhm.
help with these distracting thoughts.
That's something, that's a question I would have too, pretty much. It's been on everybody's mind, I think, when we can. A lot of people say that we would love to erase, 2020. One of the users is, one of the, audience is saying, very motivating, Kunashni. They have a lot of praises for you coming through. And they also say, one for all for one, in the context of
Yes,
each of us supporting each other. No, it's not just the ecosystem supporting the athletes, but the athletes supporting the ecosystem as well. That's
yes, definitely.
yeah, yeah. That's a great point, in terms of having control over our own mind, and especially athletes. They have a tool in their hands, which basically is to train, physically, so they can bring some sense of calmness, to themselves emotionally, and to make sure that they engage in that activity day after day, whether they're, doing virtual races, virtual challenges, or challenging each other in their groups, encouraging each other. I think that is a very important aspect in winning this battle. Yep,
Yes,
and
for sure, for
one of the we have more comments coming through. Will identify and work on things within my control. They're very happy for that tip that you gave us. That you gave all of us.
That's
Thank you so
great. That's
much.
great.
Yeah, yeah. And if you want to, guide us more, Kunishni, I'll leave the time to you for a little bit. Is if you want to say something.
Sure. One other thing I wanted to share was having a good sense of clarity and purpose during this time. It's very important for athletes. So a lot of people are stuck in this. Um, I don't know when things will happen. I don't know where things are going to go, and just living in those thoughts of anxiety, living in the future. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, so one very reassuring thing that you should tell yourself that things are going to end. Things are going
Mm-hmm.
to get back. Are going to be downloaded from the virtual world back to reality again. We are going to
Mm-hmm.
start racing out there with our friends again, and
Mm-hmm.
so just reassuring yourself and reminding yourself that that is going to happen. That is a future that exists. It's going to come. There are a lot of people around the world working hard, on getting things back together. A lot of teams working on vaccines and things like that. So knowing that things are going to get better. Now, until
Mm-hmm.
that time, until that day comes, what are you going to
Mm-hmm.
do? What do you want to do with your time? Because when that
Right.
day comes, you are going to reflect back and think, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. What could I have done? So
Mm-hmm.
just have a very clear sense that things are going to get back. Until then, what do I want to do? So that will give you a clear, a more clarity and focus on things that you'd like to do. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Kunashni. We have one more viewer to asking you, please give three important things to keep in mind to keep oneself positive. So they want to
Oneself
have three
positive.
tips to stay positive. Yeah.
Okay. To stay positive, the first important thing to remember is that you are great and you are doing great. We always criticize ourselves too much. It's called negative bias. We focus a lot on the things that go wrong instead of things that go right. So, the one
Mm-hmm.
very important thing to keep positive is to remember who you are and remember that you are good and that you are worth all the things that you have and things that you are going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Something that helps with that is, making a list of things that you've done. I did this today. It could be as small as, I went to the market and bought all these things today, and that made my mom very happy, or something like that. So knowing things that you've done, because we always focus on, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So having a list of things that you've done, your successes, your achievements, will refocus that and make you feel better.
Right.
So three tips to stay positive. Okay, so that's number one, remembering who you are, what you've done. um, the second thing is, like I said, uh, definitely try meditation and try a lot of breathing, because that will bring a lot of your stress down, a lot of your anxiety down. And when our anxiety buzzer is off, when we're not constantly worrying and thinking about a lot of things, we're able to be calm and just appreciate things around us, and that will
Mhm.
also make you more positive. So definitely try this. And a third thing is, connect with your friends, connect with people in your life who don't drain out your energy, but
Right.
instead give you a lot of positive energy. Like sometimes we have a lot of friends in our network, but they might not be very, um, positive forces in our life. They might be very
Mhm.
critical, might compare a lot, there might be a lot of jealousy. So identify who are the people who make you feel good, what makes you feel good, and stay in touch with them and connect with them. And if something's draining your energy, disconnect with that. And also social media. Don't start comparing your life with the kind of things you see on social media, because that might not actually reflect reality. So these are three things that will hopefully help you
Absolutely.
stay positive.
Thank
Yeah.
you. When you said that to meditate and breathe, I took a long, deep breath just on the screen right now,
Ah,
and it really helps. Let me. I
great,
was like,
great.
kind of tense. We're doing this Facebook Live. How are we going to perform? There is stress all the time, and as you said that, I
Of
was like,
course.
let me take a deep breath and let me relax. This is all going to be fine. We're all in the same boat here.
We're all in this
Maybe
together. Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe just different sizes, and
definitely.
it's yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
and
Thank you.
refocusing from, this is the this is the first time I'm doing it. How's it going to go to? Oh, this is the first time I'm doing it, and wow, this is really great of me for doing this for the first time. So
Hmm.
refocusing that, and that'll also just give one so much calm and self reassurance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kunashni, and we enjoyed your tips greatly. And it's all the more awesome to have a sports person, in the sports psychology sector, that you have played a sport, you have been absolutely, kind of, a great role model for the young athletes and even to everybody right now. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to more sessions from you. And before we all go, we wanted to share a bit of a sad
Definitely.
news. One of our runners and friends passed away last night in his sleep. He is a triathlete, and he's been active. He's supported so many, young ones, old ones, everybody, anybody he came across. He was very actively supporting them, strategizing with them how to, coach and how to, help them achieve their goals. And it is with great sadness that we say that we have lost a dear friend and an athlete, Dheeraj, last night. And we want to take a few seconds of, moments of silence before we wrap it up and, pay our respects to his soul. Thank you, Kunashni. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We had a great time answering
Thank
your
you so much,
questions.
Kavita.
And yes, please continue to breathe, continue to meditate, and take the help of your friends, fellow athletes, everyone that you need to, to get out of this. And Globeracers is here for you guys anytime, like I mentioned earlier in the session. Share your videos and your photos with us. We will share with our global community. So, and you can, hear their cheers and loud and to keep you motivated. Okay, you can send us email or send them via our Facebook page, Globeracers Facebook page, and we'll share them. Inbox them to us, and we're happy to share them. And thank you so much, everybody. And we'll take your leave right now. Thank you, Kunashni. You take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.